Right.
That's who I keep.
What would be next for you after all the music is done? And you sit back and you're like, damn.
Just making sure my family got them, get to have everything that I had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
I can't just live it up these years and shit. And 5 years later, I can't have nothing for my folks.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody got to feel it. You feel me?
Yeah.
So right now, what I'm trying to do is just expand. Getting ready to like put my label together and shit.
That's what's up.
It's not even me taking my time and saying, oh, I'm gonna wait a year to drop this shit. I'm with a different producer.
Yeah.
Every day. And it's like, damn, I'm like, yeah, this is sound right here.
That's what's up. Yeah.
I need to go.
That's facts.
So I'm just trying to, when I do drop, I just want people to know, like, I'm gonna give you what you love.
Yeah.
And I'm boom. Whole Lot of Red is just, they just trying to prove to these folks that I can rap. I ain't just a fly nigga.
Yeah.
I got bars.
Yeah.
That's what Whole Lot of Red is about.
Where does that motivation come from? Like when you go in the studio, you're like, shit, all right, today I'm gonna make this track. How does everything?
I listen to
that shit, yeah.
This is anybody. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to protect myself.
Yeah.
You feel me? I don't want to ever
influenced by nothing else.
Yeah, I don't want to get influenced.
That's what's up. I like that.
I'm already influenced.
Yeah. When do we get a new album?
Yeah.
This year.
2020.
All right.
2020 is the year.
Of course. I'm ready. I'm more ready than y'all.
What's that nigga Tashi? What's that nigga Tashi? Them pussy nigga ain't about that shit. Them pussy nigga ain't about that shit. I ride the chop the stick, yeah. The bitches ready to kill, yeah. My niggas they ready to drill, yeah. I got niggas that rap, yeah. My young nigga they came from hell. The chopper go red like a fat. Your mom's crying, oh well. Fuck, you can take. I gave all reason. I'm busy, you breathing. I'm breathing, she breathing. We got the dice out, flip beats, we're playing with them eaters. I put her out right, stretch. I wanted to see you leaving. I wanted to see her leaving. Being like people, bitch, yeah, she believe it either. One strike, yeah, hot just like fever. Big shades on the bitch, I can't see her leaving. Yeah, I'm just outside with AK, I'm trying to see the nigga. Yeah, I've been summertime. I'm tryna flay these jigs, man. My boy just went to court. We about to start the jig, yeah. I got price out of my car. I know that price is I'm in that bitch, I'm too late. I'ma die late. I got an AK, big ass beat. Get hit, you know that I'm pushing up. You know that I'm booted up. My shawty be booted up, riding in tanker truck. These bitches don't give a fuck. They fucking on Carti, diamonds are Carti, my watch is a Carti. She talk about Carti, hit up my baby, yeah. My bottles are Carti, yeah, brand new Carti, two tone, yeah, brand new Carti, and I got a Rolls Royce. It made the white folks step. I've been wearing designer clothes. I've been fucking designer hoes. I've been fucking designer hoes. I painted my gas. I painted my beat. I painted the man. Painted the shit. I painted my nails. My pretty little beat. Cover my wings.
Bitch nigga, he a beach boy. Life rides in the green, 2.6 boy. Life rides sitting outside, ain't shit boy. Take the shit outside, ain't shit boy. Take the shit for a ride, ain't shit boy.
So man, bro, we gotta take it back to an odd time, bro, where Carti will expand and switch his whole entire image and music up, bro. I mean, literally, bro, where the baby voice will go even higher, bro. It like got to a point where fans started to dub it as the fetus voice and shit like that, just because it was so high. Like when I say I mean a high pitched baby voice and shit like that, bro. I mean that ass, bro. After Whole Lot of Red V1 leaking in full and just like in general a majority of 2019, Carti literally had to go back to the drawing board and literally rework this album and shit. You know, pick up some producers like Richie South, you know, Jason Made it, etc. and shit. Still had Pierre in there and shit, but it's slowly, you know, Pierre still was the main producer and shit, but not as much as he was in Whole Lot of Red V1 and shit. Because this when Richie really became like the primary basically the executive producer of Whole Lotta Red up to that point and shit like that. So Pierre, but it still had a lot of Pierre beats in there. And Carti would just take on this Atlanta trap feel for this era, his music and shit for the V2 era, bro. I mean, that as you a real Carti fan, bro, you remember when he was listening to Future and Thug on his Instagram stories damn near every day around this time. So you could tell that influence was starting to soak up, man. It was starting to show in the music and shit. Because V1 and V2 is two different like sounds and shit. V1 still got that dialect happy feel, but V2 really has like is a different feel. It's like trap beats, but it still got that Carti sound that we all love and know Carti has and shit. That's why people really dug this era as the truth and shit like that. But that wasn't that heavily praised when it was happening. When this era was going on, many fans was hating on this shit to a point where Carti had to scrap the whole sound of this project altogether and shit. But now it's praised heavily now. Like, people love this era. But it wasn't as loved as V1 and any other era for Carti that was in the past, you know. This era was literally considered as some of the worst music Carti created, which is not true. But you know how this shit goes, man, bro. You already know by now, bro. Y'all been here for a little minute, bro. If you new here, hit that subscribe button, man, bro. If you old here, hit that subscribe button, man. If you seen any one of my videos before, I mean anywhere, bro. On your phone, bro. Cousin phone, bro. My phone, bro. Your neighbor's phone, bro. Your sister phone, nigga. Your mama phone, nigga. Anywhere, bro. Hit that subscribe button, man. I'm not playing, man. We going crazy all 2025. But man, bro, you see who we got again, man, bro. You obviously clicked on this for a reason, bro, man. This is one of the, like I say all the time, bro, one of my GOATs, man. One of the greatest of this decade, my nigga. Playboi motherfucking Carti again, bro. But not any era of Playboi Carti. We doing a Whole Lotta Red V2 era Carti, man. Y'all give him a round of applause, man. Yes, man. Yes, man. Yes. But nah, man, V2 era, bro. Now, you already know, man. I told y'all, bro, we doing a Whole Lotta Red videos and shit, like the series and shit. So we got V1 already out, which y'all should go check out. Now we on V2 and shit like that, man. And V3 will be after this and shit, so just be ready for that. And it's just like V2, man. Carti at this time, it was different, bro. Like, I'm telling you, it was different, but this era was literally like, I ain't never had to defend an artist so much until this era happened, bro. Like, and that literally what it kind of was, bro. I had to defend the fuck out of Carti, bro. I'm pretty sure any other fan who's really fans of Carti had to do the same shit, bro. It wasn't like 2020, late 2019, but really 2020 wasn't the greatest year to be a Carti fan in general, bro. Like, when it came to anything that he was putting out, music-wise, snippet-wise, anything, bro. It wasn't the greatest years and shit like that, but if you really was a Carti fan and you was tapped in, you will know that you will fuck with it for where it was and shit like that, bro. But man, bro, I ain't gonna keep on yapping, man, because I know I've been yapping too fucking much, bro. And I know y'all ready to get into this shit, man. So the announcements for this one, bro, you and your girl, man, go drive to the local KLC down the street. Then go get you 2 pieces of chicken. Fry them bitches, though. You go back there and fry them bitches, though. Don't have the workers do it. You go back there. Fry them bitches. Put some watermelon on the side, bro. Get some Kool-Aid, nigga. Drive back to the crib. Get some popcorn, too, you know, because you got to be a little fat. You got to be a little extra. Eat that shit. Turn this on and listen to me out on however long this video finna be. So, man, like I said, bro, man, Carti had to go back to the drawing board, bro, in 2019 and shit. Literally, bro, after literally receiving hella leaks from his first version of Whole Lotta Red and shit like that, bro, which was all over the place, man, and shit like that, bro. So Carti, instead of just dropping that version of the project and shit and just going on with that, Carti just decided to go back in the lab and shit and just lock in and literally then restart the whole process of the album and shit like that. So that version of Whole Lotta Red was down there long gone and shit like that at that point, you know. Carti wasn't really fucking with it and shit. And I'm pretty sure he was so tired of listening to the shit, you know, because he the only one before the leakers had access to the music and shit like that. So I'm pretty sure he was just burnt out on that sound anyway. So Carti literally went in the lab and just started locking in, and that's when he will record like half of the motherfucking newest version of Whole Lotta Red, which is dubbed as V2. And this era and just this general like change in his music really showed the experimental side of Carti and shit like that, bro. Like that ass. It was literally the peak of his experimental, like him experimenting and shit. pushing his baby voice and high pitched vocals to just new extreme heights, bro. Like that ass, bro. Like the V1 sound that it had, like I tell you, bro. Like I said in the V1 video, it was then like a pickup from yalllll. Like it was a good pickup from yalllll and shit like that. I said pushing flatbed freestyle. That voice on that song, pushing that voice to different masses and shit like that. Well, V1 and shit, cause he really didn't truly experiment that much on V1. He kind of he played it safe. Like I said, he played it real safe and shit like that. You know, it was experimenting. It was pushing that voice to new boundaries, but it wasn't as bad as, you know, what V2 brought and shit like that. You know, he pushed the baby voice to new heights and shit like that. And it really was just like the most geeked up like era of Carti, if you think about it and shit like that, bro. Cause this nigga was on mad lean. The nigga was doing drugs and shit like that. Like just the most geeked up he has ever been and shit like that. And you know, when you under the influence and shit like that, bro, you ain't no telling what your mind is not in the right place and shit like that. And Carti literally, and it kind of showed, and if you listen to the music, it really shows and like that, because you could tell that nigga was gone on some tracks. And when I tell you fans hated this sound, bro, see me, bro, I didn't take this era for granted, man. Like when this era was going on at the time, bro, I was one of them niggas that was literally defending Carti with my life, bro. Like that shit was like insane, bro. Cause it was like everything that was coming out, like yeah, it wasn't some of the best music at the time, but it was like that shit still was hard to me, bro. So I was just like, man, bro, like I was telling niggas like my homies in school, and I'm like, bro, you gotta listen to what he's saying, bro. And this niggas talking about I can't even understand what he's saying and shit. Like it was just goofy ass times, bro. Like it dead ass was secondhand embarrassment, bro. Like witnessing the shit in like real times, bro. That shit was just like damn, like they on Carti ass and shit like that, bro. So it's like anything that kind of was coming out, like a leak, a new leak, a snippet, anything that was coming out was kind of getting just made fun of, bro. Like for example, like the snippet I got it's called, what is it? I got these. I got it, like, bro, when that shit first hit the scene on the internet, they was on Carti ass, bro. I mean that ass, bro, cause that was like the highest that the baby voice had truly had got. Like that shit was too deep. Like it was like, hold on, like, it was kind of like, what the fuck is it, Carti? Like that shit, they trolled the fuck out this nigga, bro. And then, man, it's like when At Me had dropped, bro. When At Me had first had dropped, bro, that shit right there had fucked the whole internet up, bro. Like, and not in a good way, bro. They trashed the fuck out of At Me, bro. I mean, dead ass, bro, to a point. You gotta realize this is like the height of TikTok. This is 2020, bro. So the height of TikTok was at an all-time high, bro. And you all know they took that shit, and that shit was going viral on there and shit. And it's just like the whole, like, it really was just, At Me really, to me, was personally ahead of his time, bro. Because people just wasn't ready for this sound, bro. You had to understand, bro, the leaks that people was eating off of V1, like, it was hella shit for V1 that was leaking every day. We was rarely getting snippets for anything for the V2 era. We was getting like here and there snippets, but it wasn't no main snippets that was just making people like, okay, appreciate the sound. At least at the time they weren't appreciating it, because V1 snippets was coming out like crazy and shit like that. Leaks was coming out like crazy. So people was eating that up and shit like that. So for him to come out the blue with At Me with a whole nother sound and the baby voice is higher than ever. And then it's just the music video too, bro. Like Carti was acting zesty in the video, so people was making fun of that. But it just, the slander for At Me was insane, bro. Like I remember literally fucking with this song like crazy when it first dropped, bro. Cause you gotta like, this same time Eternal Take had dropped, so I had that shit on repeat, and I had this song on repeat like that. It was just a good time to be a Uzi and Carti fan, but it wasn't a good time to be a Carti fan and shit like that. Because literally not after At Me, bro, Pain 1993 dropped with Drake, bro. And you gotta realize that the lore behind that song, the shit that is crazy. And people think about it, people don't even be mad at Carti for that verse and shit like that. They be mad at Ian Connor and shit, because Ian Connor the one who pursued and made Carti change his whole verse and shit like that. Cause the original version of Pain 1993, he got a whole nother Carti verse. It's like Carti rapping his normal chill voice and shit like that.
If you don't say it direct, give a fuck. I said, yo, I'm beating on, I'm going in. I just do my bitch, I need to get it, that is frozen. I just put my hand on it, bitch, got no money. I just put my hand on it,
He down there rapping like his V1 era voice and shit like that, you know. But literally, the release version, that nigga Carti literally came in that bitch. Then it sounded like he was screaming, bro. Like at the Drake calm ass flow, it sounded like Carti just came in that bitch going insane.
Racks all in my jeans and they racks in me. Diamonds all in my teeth, I call up the ninja. Gotta go your back, I threw them racks in it. Every time I'm home, you know I went to Billy.
And you know the internet took literally the greatest opportunity to trash on that verse for Carti and shit. If At Me wasn't enough, then then this verse of Pain 1993 was just fucking considered the worst shit on earth, bro. Because you gotta look at the timeline, bro. Like Carti was big, bro. People forget that, like, people think like, oh, well, you know, Carti was big. Like, this is 2020, so Carti was known. He already had a cult following and shit like that. But you can't lie, a Drake cosign and shit like that nowadays and at that time was like considered gold and shit like that. So him to have a song with Drake and get on that bitch and kind of make a trash ass verse, even though I personally like the Carti verse, but you know the masses didn't really like the verse and shit like that for real, you know. So, and it just, you know, to get on there to sound like that and shit like that, they should have known what the fuck they was finna go on, bro. And I feel like Carti should have known too with the reception of At Me and shit like that, you know. But maybe he just didn't care, maybe he didn't give a fuck and shit like that. But literally everybody hated this sound now, bro. That's why I don't understand how everybody literally loved this. Like, and it feel like it's bandwagons out there too, bro, that people just say they love this sound nowadays. Because majority of y'all, what was y'all back in 2020, bro? What was y'all when the nigga was at the lunch table at school defending the fuck out of Carti for this shit, bro? Dead ass. And if you really a Carti fan, like I said, bro, it's easy to tell, like, that we knew what the sound of what he was going for and shit like that. For example, okay, like, if you think about it, bro, we already knew because we follow fan pages and shit like that. We keep up to each snippet and shit like that, you know, because I had already knew, bro, like that just going off of just the early snippets and shit like that that was already circulating the internet, and just the style change in general of like just his appearance, you know, with the blonde hair, with the like zesty looking outfits, and just literally like we already had knew that, you know, what sound the Carti was finna go on for the next project. It's just majority of the fans, you know, like the casual and shit like that. Like I said, they was still digging V1 era songs and shit like that, so they couldn't even really comprehend what the fuck was coming out from Carti and shit like that. Cause it was so much shit that, man, they hated the fuck out this sound, bro. Like, and it's crazy how much love all this shit gets now, but at the time it wasn't like that, bro. It wasn't like that. Then you know we gotta talk about the legendary tracks that came from this time too, bro. Like the leaks, the snippets, all that shit, bro. Cause majority of this shit, and think about this era, bro, of Carti, like we barely really have half of the music from this time. Like it's hella snippets that are considered grails from Carti that yet to leak or even hit the internet at all. Like we still living out some of the same snippets from literally 2020, bro. Like that's just crazy to think, bro. Like that's how impactful this era really was, bro. Cause like whoever, like they kept this music, like it's like they seen the leaks come from the V1 era. They kept this songs, all this era tucked in the like locked and shit like that. So the leaks and shit we got is literally the shit we got, bro. We barely have half of the shit from this time. I mean, but it's hella, bro. Like hella classics from this time, bro. Come on, bro. Friends, my nigga, it's a golden song by Carti and shit.
I'm flexing these bitches. That my car living. Look at that thing. He flex on these beats. I paint in my jazz. I paint in my beat. I paint in the man. Painted the shit. I painted my nails. I'm pretty little beat.
Headshot is a classic, nigga.
And I take heads off. And I take heads off. I got some new cat. I got some new swag. I got some new pet. I got some new pet.
Money and Drugs is a fucking, come on, bro. That shit right there was crazy, bro.
Money and drugs, money and drugs. 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 Money and drugs, I'm falling in love. Money and drugs, I'm falling in love.
Come on, but this legendary snippet for Carti, we need to leak to this day, bro. Trying to get down, bro. That shit needs to leak from Carti, bro. We need that, bro.
I'm trying to get
could do it too is a classic, my nigga. Fire as fuck, bro. Movie Time is classic, nigga.
Put a bitch on your head. Put a bitch on your head. I put a Zan in the egg. I put a crazy on my chest. Too much shit on the neck. I just put 100.
New Feelings with Guap, bruh. Come on, bruh.
Let's go. I put the beat right now. Let's go. I put the beat right now. Let's go. I put the beat right now. Let's go.
His verse on that shit was crazy, nigga. SRT with Uzi. Come on, but him and Uzi was there to lock it in like a motherfucker and shit. Come on, but Pass It with Uzi, it was fire, which was all originally on pink tape.
I don't know what I have to think about. I was up right top tuck on my top of the minute, bitch. I got all these bands. I play with that tuck, pull out his neck. Niggas be one that was it, he pull
Like it, you know, that was an odd time, bro. Like the backstory of this song, bro. When the night pink tape dropped and shit like that, they accidentally dropped this song as Patience and shit like that. So we technically got this song leaked from Uzi Camp and Uzi like for them in general and shit, which is crazy. Cartier is crazy with Uzi too, bro.
You don't give a fuck back now. How the fuck you think I kill? Bitch, I be everywhere. Bitch, I'm good everywhere. Don't let my chain be on my shirt. That shit out everywhere. Cut it out. I got Cartier everywhere.
Come on, but Zan is fire, nigga. Too Many is fire than a bitch, nigga.
I'm gon' do. I need all to do. Nigga be taking my swag. Nigga be taking my booze. Nigga be taking my swag. Nigga be taking my moves. I just walked in with a bag. That wasn't how they gon' do.
Come on, bro. Act a Fool snippet was crazy, nigga. Come on, bro. Way too much cash, bro. Fire than a bitch, nigga.
Some days I wanna puff all better with a cash. Some days I wanna puff all better with a cash. These is not for me, baby girl. They not my match. These is not for me, baby girl. They not my match. These niggas tryna be like me, yeah, they tryna match. My bitch, she fine, she look like me, yeah, we tryna match. Diamonds wet, I put pistols out on my pants. Got a bang on roll, but got it all me.
Come on, bro. Act a Fool snippet was a banger, nigga. Homicide, bro. This shit need a leak too, bro. We need this song, bro, for Carti. That intro is crazy, bro. Come on, bro. Who you know this snippet? Opium, bro. Fired in a bitch, nigga. Come on, bro. That's crazy. High Like Us, bro, with Young Bands was Fired in a bitch, nigga. Now that was a song that got hella hate when it first hit the internet, bro. That shit was crazy, bro.
Y'all niggas not high like us. Y'all niggas not high. Y'all niggas not high like us. They shot GH. I'm a reaper. Keep those creepers. I don't feel you. I don't feel you. I might pay you. I got beat niggas. I can't fuck with you, nigga. I got Rolls Royce and I saw nigga. I got purple. They turn red inside, nigga.
Yayo was all over the place, but that was a fire snippet.
I've been on OBM for the last 10 days.
My cup, bro, was crazy than a bitch, nigga.
I can't do a whole day without makeup. 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 I got a bitch. I'm on tricks. Feeling like Rita.
Going Out of Style, bro, was a fire ass song and shit like that, nigga. Come on, Talkative, bro. That snippet is crazy, bro.
I've been like this in high school. I was a bad bitch all night. Kill all my enemies like that.
Reba snippet is crazy.
Bitch, yeah, I can't trace out. I strip all facts out, the bitch got turned out. I put it on team, that's trying to fuck my body. Rex in the jeans, I ain't playing with these boys. By enemies, I got creep.
Come on, bro. Motherfucking. Come on, bro. Rockstar Tracks, nigga. Motherfucking man, Red Ice is crazy than the bitch, nigga.
Red coupe, red seats. Red coupe, red seats. Red ice, red. Red ice, red. Check something. I got bank.
Ecstasy for Carti, bro. If we could, that shit need elites, bro. That need to be a song that actually deletes. But that's one of my favorite Grail songs from Carti, bro. And that shit has yet to even hit the internet, bro. And I want to say designer shoes too, bro. Like people say it's a mix between, bro. People say I think designer shoes was made during Whole Lotta Red V1 era and shit. But to me, it really sounds like a V2 era song, bro. To me, like I feel like it's like in a transitional point, bro. It's like the transition from V1 leading to this era of V2 and shit like that. But maybe it's like, you know, it's like either or, bro. Like some people throw it in their V2 era playlist, some people throw it in their V1. I feel like it's between both, bro. It's just one of the songs that is stuck between. And as you can see, bro, it's a whole bunch of Richie South production that was going around on this shit, bro. Like them two, bro, this year was like under fucking feeded, bro. Carti was going ham on his beats, bro. Carti still was doing his thing with Pierre. Pierre was never not a bad time and shit. It's just crazy that him and Richie, bro. And I really feel like he did Richie so bad, bro. Like when it came to the official drop a Whole Lotta Red, bro. I don't think Richie had no beat on there. He didn't have a song on there that was even on there and shit like that. And I find that so insane, bro. It's same thing with Pierre too, cause he only had like 2 or 1 beat like that was produced with Pierre that was on Whole Lotta Red. Cause we all know that Whole Lotta Red really was just like filthy and like, you know, really just mainly filthy production on there and shit. And I just find that so insane, bro. He spent all this time locking in Richie just not to have a single placement, bro. Not even an official drop, bro. That's more insane. And then, man, bro, like I said, bro, when it comes to like the fits and shit like that, just Carti hold aesthetic for this era, bro. Carti really was embracing that like vampire thing, bro. Like when I tell you he was really embracing it, like ditching like his normal set of clothes that he was wearing like majority of 2019, like 18, 19, like, and just kind of went on a different run. But like the outfits and shit like that, ran more leather jeans and shit like that, bro. Like suit type of outfits, like Dracula type of clothes, you know, having his hair in the ponytail every time you saw him and shit like that, you know, just wearing Rick Owens a lot and shit. Basically like the style that everybody kind of really rocks nowadays. Carti was doing that at a time where it wasn't prominent to wear shit like that. And he was, of course, he was getting clowned for this shit, of course. Like they didn't miss out on no jokes when it came to Carti and shit like that. But it just like, man, bro, they just, that whole style, like, cause it was a total switch, but it wasn't just in the music, it was Carti's whole appearance. Like he started to become more mysterious and shit like that. Now I know people, when it comes to the mysterious with Carti, bro, I'm trying to explain to like people that I know and shit like that, when it comes to like them thinking that Carti be mysterious on purpose. And I be saying like, I've been a Carti fan since 2015, bro. He kind of always really been mysterious, but I had to tell people that like he been mysterious. He wasn't that mysterious and shit like that. Yeah, he was active, but really it was times where Carti didn't post a picture on Instagram back in 2016 for like months, bro. And I talked about this in some of my previous Carti videos, where it's like it was a time where people thought that nigga was dead, bro. Like dead ass. Like even his like performances was starting to get crazy. Like his Rolling Loud performances this year was starting to get insane, bro. And like at this time, bro, like Carti was just on a different level, bro, when it came to just anything at this time, bro. Like that's why people really like love this V2 era and shit like that, man, bro. And then, bro, I know y'all remember when him, Uzi, and Carti got into that quote unquote beef, bro, back in 2020 and shit like that, man, bro. That there was a beef that like I truly don't really think this beef was real. I really think it was just a publicity stunt and type that, you know. I don't really remember this being that real and shit like that. But basically, bro, if you don't know, man, a little backstory and shit. So back in like late 2019, Uzi would get on Twitter. He would just kind of go on a random Twitter rant out of nowhere and shit like that. Basically just going to his like record label. You know, this one Uzi was still on there for the Free Uzi Nation and shit. You know, we still was waiting on each other to take. And Uzi was just kind of spilling the beans on a lot of shit. He started exposing Forza and shit like that. And then he started going at Carti a little bit and shit. But he basically was responding to fans asking him basically a lot of shit. And they brought up Carti and shit like that. And he basically was saying like him and Carti went on different directions. That him and Carti basically ain't really friends like that no more and shit like that, you know. So cause you gotta realize after 2018, that was kind of like the last year you really just seen Uzi and Carti together and shit like that. They was never really seen like in public together after that year and shit like that, you know. So really people starting to speculate like, okay, this not common for them, you know. So people was already speculating and shit. But it wasn't really till 2020 where people that shit started to pick up again like that. Like around the time when Carti was getting ready to tease, like to draw at me and shit like that, you know. Like Carti would drop, like he'll tweet on Twitter saying Monday, Uzi was saying Monday and shit like that, that he was gonna drop when Carti dropped. And then goddamn Carti dropped the picture that the single cover to at me and shit. Motherfucking Uzi he posted the same picture, like kind of similar cover art and saying just me and shit like that. And like they kind of were just going at it and shit like that, bro. And then got to the point where Gunna Starr got involved, and then him and Uzi was going at it and shit like that. And basically allegedly that Uzi pulled up, they fought, and then him and Carti fought, and literally it was cool again. And that's when Carti, and a couple days later, and Carti got on Twitter and was like, I love you, twin, and tagged Uzi, and then Uzi responded back saying that shit. There's a many funny ass little beef and shit, but I'm gonna explain to you why. Because Uzi had ended up dropping that song Sasuke and shit like that, but Uzi just kind of really started copying Carti too with the baby voice and shit, making his own baby voice type of songs and shit like that, you know. But to really top all that off and shit like that, bro, Carti literally did some crazy shit that still get talked about and memed out to this day, bro. Carti would miss his own son's birth, bro, to go play the PlayStation with Lil Uzi, which is said by Iggy herself.
While I was pregnant, this man didn't even come to see his son be born. He went to Philly to play the PlayStation with Lil Uzi. He thought that was more important than seeing his son be born. And I had a scheduled C-section, by the way, because my son was so big.
And then this picture of his surface and shit like that. So this one we knew that it was really cool and shit like that, bro. And it's just like funny, like knowing the timeline behind that picture and shit. That Carti's son was literally being born and shit like that, bro. This nigga is playing a game with Uzi, bro. Like, and that ain't no comedy shit, bro. I don't fucking know, bro. Then I remember it was like, I don't know if anybody remember this shit. If you watching this, maybe, you know, but it was a picture. Like, it was something that came, bro. It was a picture of Carti watching TV. Like, he was just sitting there watching TV. And I guess somebody snuck a picture of him that was next to him and shit like that. And once, I guess it got word and they seen it and shit like that, you know, they literally said Carti done beat the fuck out of that nigga, bro. But I can't end up finding that nowhere, bro. But I remember that being a big deal at the time. But like, I literally saw this era with my own eyes, bro. Then you know Carti did some crazy features at this time and shit like that, bro. Come on, bro. Lil Yachty Pick It Up feature. His verse on that was crazy than a bitch, nigga.
I need bitch. I need bitch. Pop back with that bed. Pop back with it. You get a drive by real fast. I get drive by real fast.
Come on, bro. I don't know if y'all know this song, but Lil DTE, bro, Homicide, bro. Carti was on that spazzing like a motherfucker.
I'm popping that Molly, got it in my face. My shawty be rocking that shit on his waist. I got on my lawyer, done cleared up the case. Put up a bag, he gon' do what I say. 1.5 is say just case. Yeah.
I mean, Carti was on one this year, bro. Like, that ass, bro. Really putting his, like, stamp on niggas, bro. But it just, this era wasn't really loved, man. Like, and I hate that it wasn't, bro. Because I personally think this is some of the best music Carti was really cooking up, bro. Like, really experimenting, bro, on anything, bro. Really carrying a different sound to his music that once was before, bro. But people just wasn't ready for that sound, bro. They was so brainwashed not to be ready. And they're just speaking on this sound in general, bro. Like, Carti really just, like, after the Atmos and shit like that, bro, just really switching this sound up and just moving on and just going to a whole different sound. Because there's many speculations of why people really think, like, Carti left this sound and shit like that, bro. Some people think because, you know, really just the exception he got from Atme and Pain 1993 and just all the snippets in general. Like, people think that could be the reason, but I truly, like, when it comes to people saying that, I could agree on it, you know, not really, because I really feel like if that's the point, then, I mean, it makes sense, but if that really was the point, then he wouldn't even have dropped at me in general, like, or if he would have dropped at me and they would have seen the hate, that means he would have just moved on from that sound in general and not even do the Pain 1993 verse. Because one thing about Carti, we all know Carti is one of them niggas that don't clear his features and shit like that. So if he really knew that that verse was gonna be ass, or knew that he was gonna get slandered for that shit, I wouldn't even see him dropping it in general and shit like that. So I really don't personally agree on that, bro. Some people like to say that, you know, once Kanye got involved and shit like that, Kanye basically like told him, you know, that he didn't really fuck with that sound, that he just need to switch it up. Some people firmly believe that, like, just literally just all that hate in general, but Carti just wanted to keep evolving his sound up until when we got the punk music and shit like that, you know, because once he, like, the raspy voice and all that shit come from the punk era, the release version Whole Lotta Red, Baby voice wasn't nowhere to be seen. It was only like 2 confirmed, like, official features for the Baby voice and shit like that. Besides that, it really wasn't no songs on there that didn't have the Baby voice at all. It was a new style, a new everything for Carti. And I say that because this style, like, this whole era, literally every time I get on TikTok, bro, you could not get on TikTok without seeing somebody talking about this era, bro, praising this era like crazy. And I just find that so insane because that wasn't the case like 5 years ago. That wasn't the case. The case was this shit was considered some of the worst music from Carti and shit. And I personally, and I don't know, more people might not even agree on this, but I personally think that this era got dragged and hated on more than the official Whole Lotta Red. Don't get me wrong, when Whole Lotta Red dropped, it got hated on like crazy because people wasn't expecting it. But at the same time, I feel like this era got hated on the most though. Like it kind of looked like they bullied Carti out of this sound and shit like that, you know. So that kind of like a reason why I say is that, like, I honestly asked that question and shit. It do feel like that, cause like we didn't have, like, and the thing about it, we was closest getting this album. We was real close to getting it. Like, it wasn't even that, like, he wasn't gonna drop it. We was close to getting it. It just looked like something hit that nigga and just made that nigga not even want to do it. And you know, like I said, the aesthetic, but like that ass, the whole aesthetic of Carti in general, like, it was starting to switch. Like, everything was starting to switch for this nigga, bro. Dyeing his hair blonde and shit, switching from freeform dreads to just having normal set retwist, like I said, having his hair in the ponytail a lot. Rick Owens, just like that, the upside down Carti, like this when like the devil, like satanic shit really started to come out of Carti for real, you know, like that, you know. And like I said, it was the beginning of Opium too. Like Opium, he was starting to put together Opium shit like that, which he says in an interview where he said putting his label together and shit. And this was like the OG Opium and shit like that, you know, way before Destroy Lonely and everything. Cause the OG Opium is more like Ken Carson, Lil Unky, International Jefe. Like, it's more them niggas and shit like that. Now, if you don't know these niggas and shit like that, they was the original. I don't even say they was Opium. They was kind of affiliated, but I really like to say they was Opium because it kind of, they really was all claiming Opium and shit like that. So, this basically was the OG Opium and shit like that, you know, like that. The way before any Destroy Lonely, Homicide Gang, anybody, bro. This was like the start of Opium and shit like that, man. And it's crazy to see how far that they even came, you know, like now Opium one of the biggest labels. Like, it ain't really just Opium, it's YVL now and shit like that, you know. So it's crazy to see how all this shit really just came together for bro and shit like that. And, you know, like, now some of that shit, some of the biggest shits out here, bro. That's insane, man. That's fucking insane. But just talking about 2019, just Whole Lotta Red V2 era in general, man. This was, like I said, bro, like I keep saying, this was an era for me, man, personally, that just goes down as one of my favorite eras from Carti and shit like that. Like, we done had golden eras and shit like that from this nigga, but this era was just a time, you really had to be there to experience this time, my nigga. You had to be there. Like, it ain't really nothing else that you really could say. You just had to be there to experience it, bro. And just like I said, I was defending the fuck out of this nigga with my fucking back on the line, bro. Like, I dead ass like was throwing like flag on the plate, defending the fuck out of this shit, my nigga. Like, I was a V2 lover, bro. Like, I didn't take this L for granted at all, bro. Like, I didn't do none of that shit, bro. I just dead ass was soaking up the music. And I was loving the era for what it was. Like, there was some snippet that was coming out that was just like, alright, bro. Like, that was kind of questionable and laughable. But really, majority of the shit was just like, man, this shit is fire, bro. Like, I was loving each second of it, bro. I'm kind of hoping in the future that some of the shit get leaks, because half of the shit is still not leaked to this day. But really, bro, this era is going down in history as one of the greatest, bro. And it just can't be duplicated, bro. And it's like, it's many people trying to duplicate it. You can't duplicate this era, my nigga. It's just, you can't. But it's one of those eras from Carti that you just gotta really be like, man, only Carti could have did this, but only Carti could have did this, and that's just where it is. And that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll wrap this video up. If y'all enjoyed the video, man, y'all give the video a big ass thumbs up, man, bro. I love every single one of y'all that's watching these videos. Like I always say, man, y'all are the best, bro. Y'all are literally, y'all are breadwinners, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. Y'all are breadwinners, bro. Y'all are the goats, my nigga. And I just want to say, man, thank you to all y'all for real, bro. We is going ham, bro. We've been killing it so far this year, bro. Like, we've been killing it, man. The videos that this year has been amazing, bro. It's just amazing to see all this come to light, man. You know, I gotta give thanks to God, the man above, of course, for waking me and my family up, waking you guys up for just even watching this, waking everybody up, man. So I gotta give my thanks to love and God, man. If it wasn't him, none of this won't be possible. Literally, none of this won't be possible. So I always gotta shout out to the man above, and just shout out to y'all just for being a ghost and really showing love to the page, just sharing this with your friends, because many shit y'all could be watching, man. Y'all could be watching so much shit, bro, but y'all taking the time out y'all day to fuck with your boy, man. So I really appreciate it, man. That really mean a lot for real, man. Y'all already know, man, I got way more videos like this coming soon. V3/V4 era Carti, Whole Lot of Red will be out sooner than later, man. Probably this weekend. If you watching this, probably it'll be out. Most likely, if you watching this, it'll probably be out by then, you know. So be ready for that, you know. And just, you know, I'm trying to knock out these Carti videos for y'all, man. You got way more shit out of this, though. Let me know what y'all want to see in the comments, though. After these Carti videos over with, man, I will get back to normal scheduling and see, you know, asking y'all what y'all want to see. Check the community polls, man. That's why I ask y'all what y'all want to see. I let y'all know what's coming out. Just anything, bro. Just ask me anything, bro. Don't be shy, bro. I'm not mean. I'm gonna get to it when I get to it. It's basically what I'm trying to say, man. So just keep loving the channel, man. Keep doing what y'all doing. I love y'all. Y'all are the best, man. Until the next video, that's all I gotta say for this one, man. So yeah, I love y'all. And yeah, man.